Yes. What's not responding? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we'll begin in about 2 more minutes so everyone can be a little bit more patient. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we're going to begin the program now. So please go ahead and take your seat. And if you could quiet down and silence your cell phone as well, inshallah, so we don't have any distractions, please. All right. Okay. And today, actually, let's see. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلوات والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Today we're going to be talking about the signs of the Day of Judgment. Inshallah, this is a topic that a lot of people think about. They wonder how far we are away from the Day of Judgment. Many people have predictions. The Day of Judgment will come in next year, 5 years, 10 years. But inshallah, I'm going to explain why that's not true. In fact, nobody knows. And we'll begin with the first slide, which is a ayah from the Quran. Okay? In Surah Araf, ayah 187, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة يسألونك كأنك حفي عنها قل إنما علمها عند الله ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. In translation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they ask you, O Prophet, regarding the hour, meaning the Day of Judgment, when will it come? When will it be? Say, the knowledge is only with my Lord. He alone will reveal it when the time comes. It is too tremendous for the heavens and the earth, and will only take you by surprise. They ask you as if you had full knowledge of it. Say, that knowledge is only with Allah, but most people do not know. And from this ayah we learn that Allah told Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people ask about when the hour of the Day of Judgment will come, tell them only Allah knows. And therefore, how can we give predictions and give dates and years when nobody else knows? That's going against this ayah of the Quran. In fact, in other religions, for example, Christianity, even in their religion, they also believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only knows about the Day of Judgment and when it will come. So that's one similarity. But at the same time, Allah has given us signs to understand that it is coming. And I think what we can all take away from these signs is reflect. We can reflect from these signs and think, am I prepared for the Day of Judgment? And it's also a reminder that the world is coming to an end. Yes, our lives come to an end, but the entire universe comes to an end eventually as well. So that's something to keep in the back of our mind, inshallah. So today, we're going to be talking about part 1. And part 1 are the minor signs. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And for the first section is minor signs that have happened and are happening. And I'll give you a quick note right here that there are minor signs and major signs that the Prophet ﷺ has told us about. The minor signs are not to be taken not seriously either. We have to take the minor signs serious as well. And as well as that, the major signs are going to be the last signs before the day of judgment begins. And the major signs are major catastrophic events that change the whole world. But the minor signs are preparing for that, are preparing for the major signs. So I'm going to show you guys another a hadith actually, where the Prophet said the signs of Qiyamah, Qiyamah means the day of judgment, are like pearls fastened by a string. And once the string is cut, they all fall one after the other. So as you can see in the picture, the tasbih, which we make dhikr with, right? This is an example that can be used to describe this hadith. And with this example, I mean, if you have the tasbih in your hand and you cut the string, right? One bead will fall after another, and the other will fall faster with the weight of the others. And that is just like the signs of the day of judgment. When one comes, the other will come quickly after that. And it will get quicker and quicker, meaning one after another. And we're going to begin with the first sign of the day of judgment. In this hadith, the Prophet said, the time of my advent, meaning arrival, and the hour are like these two fingers. He showed his two fingers to his companions. And now look how closely these two fingers are. How much can you fit in between these two fingers? Think about it. Now, let's remember, when did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam come to us? How many years ago? About 1,400, about 500 years ago? Now think, if his arrival is 1,400 years ago and the day of judgment is the finger right next to it, how far are we away from the day of judgment then? It's already been more than 1,000 years. Subhanallah. That's how close the two events are. And the sign after that, in this hadith, it counts 6 signs that indicate the approach of the hour. And he said, my death. Meaning the next sign after his arrival is his death. The Prophet ﷺ said, when his death comes, that's another sign of the day of judgment. And again, how long ago was his death? And where are we today? What year are we in? Next, the hour has drawn near and the moon was split in two. Yet whenever they see a sign, they turn away saying, same old magic. This is an ayah from the Quran. And we know one of the Prophet's miracles was the moon split into two and it came back together. And that is also another sign. And it's also another reminder of the people who are living at that time that the day of judgment is coming. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was reminding them, what can it mean of us? Now this is a very interesting hadith. It was a prophecy that was fulfilled already. And the last hour would not come until fire emits from the earth of Hijaz, which would illuminate the necks of the camels of Busra. This happened in the year 1256, 800 years ago, where there was a natural fire in Hijaz. It was a natural fire that came from the earth, and it can be seen all the way in Busra. Now, on the top left picture, you see Hijaz, which is basically the area of Medina, modern day, what we call it now. And Busra is the red marker on the picture underneath it. Now, hundreds of miles. How could you see a fire from that far away? Imagine that. But it was true, it happened at that time. And that was another sign, another minor sign, which was that specific fire, which already happened. Next is 2 big groups fight each other, whereupon there will be a great number of casualties of both sides, and they will be following one and the same religious doctrine. Now, this can be interpreted in a couple of ways. One can be, this is talking about one specific battle, that happened amongst Muslims. But if we look at the same time, since the time of the grandchildren of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muslims have been fighting each other, and it's still happening today. So this is another prophecy that's one is fulfilled and it's still happening as well. Imagine that. Imagine the Sahaba at that time when the Prophet told them that the Muslims will fight each other. People of the same religion will fight each other. Imagine how he felt, you know? Of course, he's hearing about news of the future, but imagine how he felt. Imagine how sad he must have felt at that time. Next is about 30 Dajjals, meaning liars. I mean, the lying one will appear, and each one of them will claim that he is Allah's messenger. Now, this is debated amongst the scholars of which one is a Dajjal and which is not. Because we know that there's one major Dajjal, which has the one eye he sees through, but there are 30 Dajjals that come before him. And in fact, there was a young man or a boy, probably in the teenage years at the time of the Prophet, where the scholars say that was the first Dajjal who was claiming lies and claiming that he was a prophet, and he was claiming to have knowledge that other people don't have. So again, this started at the time of the Prophet as well. The 30 Dajjal. So I know people are going to start arguing and debating, okay, which person throughout history is one of the 30? But you tell me, does it really matter? Does it really matter if we classify as somebody as a Dajjal or not? I think the thing we should really reflect on is that people will come like that, right? People will come that lie, and they claim that they are of divine nature. So that's another thing to keep in mind. People in today's world, social media, say all kinds of crazy things. You can go on YouTube and you'll find so many people saying, oh, I'm a prophet, I'm a messenger. Some people say I'm God, a'udhu billah. Some people say I am al-Masih. Some people say I'm Imam Mahdi. It's so many people claiming that there's so many different things. But that's just to keep in mind that people will claim to be things that they are not. Religious knowledge is taken away by the death of religious scholars. Now, I mean, if we look at today, of course we have scholars in today's world, alhamdulillah. But who are the major scholars of Islam? Imam Bukhari, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Muslim, Imam Shafi, right? And so many of them, where are they today? They've all passed away, right? And this hadith is talking about people of their likes. They have passed away, and even today, it's also mentioned that the knowledge is taken away, right? Meaning they had discussions that we don't have today. In fact, people argue about stuff that some of the scholars have done in the past, and this fulfills that prophecy. That's that minor sign. Earthquakes will increase in number. I mean, living in California, we know this one out of experience. Because not all earthquakes, necessarily destroy cities and all, but it's still an earthquake nonetheless, right? That ground is shaking out of nowhere. And we can't predict it either. I mean, in fact, that's a sign that there's something or someone in control, right? To the people, of course, who don't believe. That's another sign for them that something is happening, something that humans obviously are not causing, and they can't control it either, and they can't predict it either. So this is a reminder for them, how is this happening? Now, of course, a scientific explanation, if you look at geology and the tectonic plates underground, they're moving. Sure, I'm sure it's moving. But how much of a cause can you dive into it? What is causing that, and what is causing that, and what is causing that? You'll eventually go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the point of that. So again, what was it, just last year? What was it, Turkey? When they had that huge, huge earthquake, that even the Muslim brothers and sisters here were sending stuff over there. Again, that fulfills this hadith. Because not only is the earthquake happening, but it's impacting the whole world. It's reminding the whole world that this is a sign. Time will pass quickly. Now, This can actually mean a couple of things. And I provided an article title here from Forbes magazine. Forbes magazine is not a Muslim-owned newsletter. This is one of the most famous news websites in the whole world. And look at that. Is the earth spinning faster? Right? They're asking the question. Of course, later in the article, if you read it, they explain it is. The earth is spinning faster. Because we know one complete rotation is how much? 24 hours. Right? But it's going faster and faster. If you look into it scientifically, it's actually not 24 hours. It's a few like seconds or milliseconds, whatever it is, before it reaches that mark. But it's going faster and faster. That's the point of it. Now, that's a scientific way to look at it. And another way to look at it is our perception of time, how we feel, right? Literally, I'll open my phone, look through a few messages, and I'll look at the time. Oh, it's been an hour, right? Not only is it actually going faster, but it feels faster. What month are we? September already? Feels like the year just started, right? This is another sign that even the way we feel of time is going faster. That's why we have to make better use of our time. Get off your phone. Get off your WhatsApp and your Facebook. So as to the older audience, the younger audience, it would be Instagram and Snapchat, right? So, try your best, inshallah. Each effort counts. But again, it's a reminder. Why is the time going so fast? I can guarantee you, people 1,000 years ago didn't feel the same way. Because the people 1,000 years ago didn't have phones. They were out working in the fields and working for their food, working for their income very, very in a physical manner. And I bet you they're like, I wish time went by faster. And now we wish time can go slower. So think about that. Al-Harj, killing will increase. Now tell me, when's the last time you turned on the news channel and you didn't hear about somebody died, somebody got killed, right? There was a school shooting, or somebody was walking and they just stabbed them, and right? This is the whole world. Killing is everywhere. Even Santa Clarita, we live in Santa Clarita. Even every now and then, now we're seeing an increase of the news. What was it? I think not even a week ago, I read the article that there's it's the train tracks, right? Next to Sam's Club, right? Everyone knows about that. I remember I was in, it was either Walmart or Sam's Club. I was in one of the stores, and as I come home, I'm seeing on the news that they found a dead body on the tracks. How crazy is that? This is our normal life. This is our normal road that we're going and walking, and we're seeing killing even here. I remember maybe 1 month or two ago, there's the parking garage in front of the movie theater, in front of the mall, and even in that building they found a body. It's everywhere, right? It's not just the bad countries anymore. It's everywhere, even where we live. And this is not something that was common back then. Back then, people only got killed most of the time was in wars and battles. Now it's a common thing. It's a common crime now, unfortunately. Next is something very, very special, very interesting in my opinion. By him in whose hand is my life, a time would come when the murderer would not know why he has committed the murder, and the victim would not know why he has been killed. Meaning, when these people are given life on the day of judgment and the day of resurrection, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask the people what they did, right? When he asked the killer, why did you kill so-and-so person? They said, I don't know. And when they asked the person who got killed, why did you die? How did you die? What happened? They said, I don't know why I died either. Now tell me, is this not the story when you see these school shootings in America? When some kid has depression or some other mental illness and he goes and shoots other kids, you think he really knows why he's shooting kids, right? Now, decades ago, right? If we saw a shooting on the news, for example, right? The main cause would be this person didn't like so-and-so other person. They had some kind of enmity. They were enemies. Okay? At least I can understand they didn't like each other, right? There was a problem. But when we see these school shootings, these kids are just killing whoever they see in front of them, who are in front of them in the playground or in the classroom. You think they have a problem with every single student? There's no way. Meaning they don't even know why they're killing so-and-so kid, and the kid doesn't know, why did I just get killed? I think this is one of the most accurate predictions that we can relate to and we can see. Next is wealth will be in abundance, so abundant that a wealthy person will worry less. Nobody should accept his zakah. And whenever he will be presented to someone, that person will say, I am not in need of it. Now this is a debatable hadith, because some say it's happening or it happened, or some people say it hasn't exactly happened yet. But at least the one part that we can confirm 100% is that there's wealthy people and they don't know what to do with their money. Right? Now, if we look at the Prophet's time, who are the really rich people? Kings, governors, big important people, right? Which we're not seeing often. In today's world, how many millionaires and billionaires are they, right? Singers and rappers, they don't even have actual talent, but they have money, right? They're not even that important, yet they're famous and they have money. And they don't know what to do with their money. Now that's something to really think about. Being rich, sure, no problem. But how bad is it when you don't even know what to do with your money? You run out of things to buy. Well, actually, let me clarify that. You'll never run out of things to buy, but you'll run out of things to satisfy you with that money. Because no matter how many cars, you can buy 1 million cars, right? But all those cars are not going to satisfy you. You'll run out of things. Okay, everything will become boring. Think about it, though. These billionaires and millionaires, all the diamonds and gold watches and yachts and big buildings and cars and jets. You think that's always fun? That's not fun for them anymore. Maybe it's fun for the first time. Now it's boring. They don't know what to do with their money now. And what do they do with it most of the time? They somehow get depressed, drugs, right? They waste their money on drugs and get themselves killed. So where is the satisfaction in that? Where is the satisfaction in that kind of money? Now this is another one which I find very interesting. A man, when passing by a grave of someone, will say, would that I were in his place. Meaning, it's like somebody walks past a grave and they're like, I wish I was in his grave. I mean, I wish I was dead like him. I was in his position. Now, how common is suicide today? Adults are committing suicide, men, women, children. How common is it? It's not even something that we rare to hear anymore. It's like a common thing you see on the news. Oh, and so person killed themselves. It doesn't even affect our mind. Like, oh, I don't even think about it. I'm like, oh, it's common news, common stuff, right? It's very unfortunate, but that's the truth. Again, some people don't even want to live. Something happens in their life that they don't like, or it's a difficulty. Everyone goes through difficulties, problems, and they don't want to live. It's like Allah gave you the gift of life, that you woke up and you're saying, I don't want a gift. And you throw it back at Allah. That's how I see it, at least. And I think that's how everyone should see it. Of course, people who have mental illness and serious problems, I understand that. But committing suicide is not the solution. You think, oh, it's going to end for me. Yeah, but the problems get passed on to everyone else. Your family, your neighbors, your people around you, they get stuck with your problems now. People don't realize that. People are not even grateful that they're alive. Imagine that. SubhanAllah, I mean, something to think about really, right? This one is a very common one I see shared on social media, which is very true. When you see barefoot, naked, destitute shepherds competing in constructing tall buildings. Okay, now when the Prophet gave this hadith, he was specifically talking about the Arabs. Okay, the Arabs of his time were seen as savage people. Okay, they were seen, basically, if we see somebody living in a jungle, we're like, this is a jungle person, right? That's how other people saw the Arabs at his time. The most strong, empires were the Persian Empire, the Roman Empire, the Greeks before them. They were strong people. And when they looked at Arabs, they're like, what can these guys do? They sit in the desert with camels and goats. What can they do, right? And they lived in tribes. Some of them didn't even have a home that they always went back to. A lot of them were moving around. And when it's said they're naked, not specifically always naked, but they didn't always have clothes. Some couldn't afford more than one pair of clothes, right? And now, look at where they are now. Who are the richest people of today? Everyone knows now, right? All the American people know. That's why all the young girls, I want to marry an Arab sheikh, right? And I want to live in Dubai. Whoa, I thought the Muslim people were, bad people. They were terrorists, and their Muslim countries are backwards. What happened now? Now they want to move to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Qatar and all these, beautiful places. Why? Now see the shift of where they came from, and now look at the status of them today. Right? This prophecy is completely fulfilled. What is the biggest, tallest building in today's world? Burj Khalifa. Where is it? UAE, Arab land, right? Now, how can the Prophet know at that time? Right? At his time, buildings were one story. I mean, they're not even buildings, really. Some of them were just huts. 2 stories at most, and they climb a ladder, and some just go up to sleep up there at his time. How would he know that they compete in tall buildings? How would he know? This is a hadith I always see shared with non-Muslims because they can never deny it either. Cannot even debate it. Next is when authority is given to those who do not deserve it, then wait for the hour. Okay? Now I know the picture looks funny, right? I remember when Trump became president, people were like, oh, look at this guy, he doesn't deserve to be president. Okay? I mean, you can have your opinions about Trump. I don't like him that much either. I mean, but at least he was awake. I'll tell you that. Look at our president, Mr. Joe Biden, today. He's falling asleep in meetings. He's talking, giving a speech, and he forgets where he is. He forgets what he's talking about, right? I mean, aside from what he believes, political views and stuff, physically he's not even capable of being president, let's be honest. Right? He's getting old, he can barely walk. He's falling every week, riding a bike, going up the stairs. Now, I know it's funny, but think, how can this person be the leader of the entire country, of millions of people? How can the millions of American people have hope in this guy? Right? How can they keep faith in this guy? Oh, this guy's going to take care of us. He'll lead us go the right way. He's not even awake. He probably forgets that he's even the president at times, right? I mean, I was discussing this with a brother today, which is actually almost all leaders in the world, all political leaders, president, prime ministers, right? All of them, all countries go to war, especially the Western countries. They launch wars against other countries. Okay, fine. But where are they when they do this? Where are the leaders? They're in their bedroom, they're in their office, and they press the button, and the army and the soldiers go fight, right? Now think a couple of thousand years ago, at the time of the Prophet, who were the leaders of the nations? Now think someone like Umar radiallahu anhu, Ali radiallahu anhu. Where were they when they were fighting? They were with their army right in the front. They were the commander of the army. They were the ones saying, I'm the strong one here, have faith in me, and be brave with me together. And these guys are sleeping in the AC. I mean, really, really think about it. How can you keep your faith in such a leader? Next is religious ignorance will prevail. What does this mean? Meaning in Islam, people will not follow Islam correctly, and ignorance will, mean they'll make up stuff and they'll do weird stuff and they'll spread it, meaning people will also accept and believe it too. I mean, look at the picture I put here. People are dancing and singing inside the masjid. Again, it's funny, but it's terrible. It's really terrible. Imagine if somebody in this masjid came and started singing and dancing, everyone's like, what in the world is he doing? But if the whole community is doing, nobody's going to say that. They're going to say this is normal. And this is true ignorance. And this is, aside from all the WhatsApp messages and Facebook posts and making up all kinds of stuff, this is ignorance. And the Prophet said it will prevail. Do you know what prevail means? Prevail meaning it'll go on top. Meaning the real truth of Islam will not be as spread as the ignorance, which is very true. I mean, I would argue that most Muslims in this world, the 2 billion Muslims, or however many it is, they don't know the Islamic basics. Next, there will be prevalence of open illegal sexual intercourse, meaning zina, right? Not only in America. How common is it? Everyone has a girlfriend, boyfriend, right? In Islam, we know if you like someone, sure, get married to them. Everyone has a boyfriend, girlfriend now. Even in quote-unquote Muslim countries. This is a new normal. Even in Muslim countries, you ask the young people, oh, you have a boyfriend, girlfriend? Yeah, of course. This is common now. And it's open. Look how the Prophet mentioned open, meaning it's everywhere. It's not even hiding. Of course, back then, zina was a crime, right? In the Muslim community. People wouldn't openly walk around with someone they're not married to. Now they do. Now it's open. Think about it, really. In fact, something to ponder about is, why don't people get married? If you really like someone, get married to them. And a common thing I see in America is, it's not just teenagers having girlfriends, boyfriends. Let me clarify that. Even the older adults in their 20s, 30s, 40s, they're like, oh yeah, this is my girlfriend. I lived with her. I've been with her for 10 years, and we have 3 kids together, and this and that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so you're not married? Oh yeah, we'll get married eventually. We'll get married in a couple of years. I mean, when people tell me, I'm like, what's the point of getting married then? You've already been living with them. You already have children with them. I mean, what's the point of getting married? You have made the importance of marriage zero. In Islam, we get married because, one, is because there's no secrecy in marriage in Islam. The community has to know that this so-and-so is married to so-and-so. Number one. And number two, you're showing your commitment to Allah. You're showing your obedience to Allah. As you're saying, Allah, I'm doing this the right way, and have mercy on me. Next, a time is certainly coming to mankind when only the receiver of usury, meaning interest, riba, will remain, and if he does not receive it, some of its dust will reach him. What does that mean? In today's world, can you get away from riba? Interest, it's everywhere, right? And people don't know interest in Islam is one of the biggest major sins in Islam. It's on the top list. And not only is it just seen as like a sin, it's seen like as a crime in Islam. It's a very big thing. Now, people who are non-Muslim ask, oh, why is interest haram? Why? Why is it so bad? And the truth is because it's meant for exploitation. One person wins and the other person loses. They take advantage of him. This is how people lose their car, they lose their house, they lose their wife and their kids, they lose everything because they can't pay back a loan, the interest rates are rising. Now, as a Muslim, if I decide, okay, I'm not going to get near riba, okay? When I go to buy a car, how do I buy a car? I mean, how many of us have $30,000 sitting in our bank account, right? The system was made in a way that you have to take interest. That's how it's made. You go to school, how are you going to pay for school? You have to take a loan, right? Do you guys know how expensive medical school is? $100,000 more? $150,000? Who has that kind of money? So it means you have no other option. You want to be a doctor or not? That's basically what it's saying. You want to buy a house? How are you going to buy a house? Who has $100,000 sitting in their bank account? That's why the system is made where you can't get away from it. You can't get away from its dust, which is very accurately portrayed in the hadith. From among my followers, there will be some people who will consider illegal sexual intercourse, meaning zina, the wearing of silk, the drinking of alcoholic drinks, and the use of musical instruments as lawful. Okay? Now, let me make one thing clear. I know all of these things, for example, silk is haram for men, but it's halal for women. Of course, zina and drinking is completely haram. And I know that there is, a side and arguments that's saying not all music is haram, okay, which is what it is. So I'm not going to go into that because, honestly, I don't think I'm knowledgeable enough to say one side for sure. Okay, so inshallah, let's put that side apart. But we can agree that it is everywhere. Music is everywhere, right? Can we agree upon that? Yes. Is the drinking everywhere? Yes. Is zina everywhere? Yes. I mean, look at the picture. What is that? That's a concert, right? What's at a concert? What's at a party? Of course, music, obviously. Girlfriends, boyfriends, zina, drinking. What's the saying? It's not a party without drink, right? It's everywhere. And it's my followers, he says my followers, meaning the Muslims, they will indulge in it and they'll be happy with it, basically. It's everywhere, right? Concerts, I can give a whole khutbah on concerts, honestly. I personally know Muslims, I go to concerts too. And of course, I'll say nobody's perfect, I found that stuff interesting at once upon a time too, right? I had fun with that kind of stuff too. So, of course, I can't say that you're a bad person now, right? But it's something to think about because everyone needs guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But, think of a concert, basically. You go to either to an open land area or you go into a big stadium, right? All the people are standing or sitting. Most are standing, right? They're standing, and there's one person, a singer, for example, will be on an elevated platform. And what is he doing up there? He's not just singing his song, right? People give the excuse, I go to concerts because I like the music. I want to listen to the music. I'm like, well, if you like it, why don't you listen to it at home? Why are you going to this place, right? And think about it. It's like one leader, one ringmaster is up there, and he's saying scream, they all scream. He's saying jump, they all jump like monkeys. He says quiet down, they quiet down. He takes his shirt off, they all start screaming and like they're about to die. You guys have seen the videos. He goes and high fives one of the girls in the crowd, she faints. Right? Is this not worship? Are they not worshiping these famous people? That's how I see it. It's like they're treating him as like a god. A god is up there and they're like little peasants and worshiping him. Like little slaves. If you logically think about it, aside from an Islamic perspective, how can that be good? Right? Now this is a very interesting one. Now this hadith has many interpretations, so I'll talk about one that's very common. It's the slave girl will give birth to her master. What does that mean? Now, the interpretation that I will explain today is basically the parent gives birth to his or her master. What is that supposed to mean? When a parent has a child, the child listens to the parent, right? They take their parent as their leader, as their teacher, as their helper. Now, the Prophet is saying the opposite will happen. The kid will yell at the parents and say, no, I'm not going. And the mom will say, okay, calm down. Right? The parent is now like the child in the relationship. And I have a video. Some of you have might seen it already. It's a little funny, but it's really like shocking, very mind-blowing. I apologize for the quality. I don't know. This is the only like quality I could find. It's a little poor. It's an old video, but watch this video. This is from Dr. Phil. Yes.
You showed the video.
Yeah.
This is now happening right now in this century started this.
Yeah.
Surrogacy.
Yeah.
Surrogacy, you hire a woman
Yeah.
for the baby, right? So she's your
Right.
slave girl.
Yeah.
And she's giving birth to the master. is exactly
Yeah,
what is
there you go.
that is the modern version of
There you go.
Islam.
That's very accurate.
That's they get paid. She's basically
Yeah.
slave for 9 months to keep the baby.
Yeah, for people who don't
Mom,
know.
she's the master actually.
For
She's a
people, yeah.
millionaire's daughter or whatever. Son
Right.
Or whatever
A lot of famous people, a lot of famous women. Yeah,
This is like a passion now.
yeah.
All
It's like
Hollywood,
they know if I get pregnant, my body is gonna get ruined. I'm gonna get, fat will start coming in, skin will come down on this. Okay, fine. It's natural, right? But now with the level of technology we have, basically, we put the baby, the DNA from the parents, into another woman, and she's the slave, and she keeps the baby in her belly, and she gives birth to the child. She just takes the money and she's gone. Never sees the child again. How crazy is that? I'm going to continue with this video. I think you guys will like it. It'll be funny, but very interesting. Do we have audio with the video? Will it work? It's not working. Oh. Oh man, it's not working, no?
Go back.
Okay. He's basically, Dr. Phil called his mother and son onto his show, and they have an issue between themselves, right? And he puts them into a room, and they talk to each other about their problems in their house. And just listen to what the kid says and what he does. We able to make it work? No? Okay. Well, basically, I'll just say what he says. He's literally yelling at the mom. And okay, I think you took away control from my clicker. He's yelling at the mom, and he's telling her, you don't listen to me, this and that. He says, Mom, shut up. And she shuts up. It's crazy, right? He's yelling. It's like an 8-year-old fat kid yelling at his mom and telling the mom, shut up, and she literally shuts up too like a child. And she's like, don't raise your voice. Don't yell at me. Are you kidding? Man, if I did that as a kid, I forget saying shut up. At the moment I raise the voice, bam, right there. I think that's all these kids here too. They know it too. Right? Am I good? Can I? It's stuck now? Okay. But basically, we'll continue on that fact. That why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's a genuine fact. Why are the parents treating their kids in a way where the kids boss their parents around? And it's the lack of teaching. The lack of Islam. Islam gives us guidelines of how to live our life. Islam gives us specific instructions of what to do. Islam gives parents specific instructions on how to raise your child, and it gives the instructions to the children how to treat your parents in return. And, okay, now it's echoing. It seems like I'm in an empty room now. But when you don't have the Islamic teachings, things like this will happen. And I've seen it in person too. Not just on videos, I've seen kids.
How does it feel to be told to shut up?
We've talked about.
Let me speak. How does that feel? How does that feel?
Do not. Put your hands on me. Do you understand me?
Do you understand me?
No, I asked you a question.
You know what? Shut up. Apparently that's the only word that gets your attention.
So, sorry about the sound. I don't know what happened. But did you see that? No, not only did Giselle the mom, he smacked the mom too. He smacked her in her face, and she just sat there and took it. How terrible is that? She didn't even hit him back. And what'd she tell him in return? Lower your voice. Keep your hands to yourself. It's funny, but this is how society gets ruined. When kids like this become adults, they don't actually become adults. They're just children as they grow up too, even when they're aged. And that's when they have people like this. When adults are childish like that, that's how you get crazy people. That's how you get killers. That's how you get thieves. That's how you get kidnappers and rapists. This is what it comes from. But they don't get taught as a child of how to act. They grow up to be crazy. And they do all these crazy things.
How does it feel to be...
Okay, next, finally, thank you. People will single out one individual for the greeting. Yeah, I'm sure you guys seen it, like in a group, instead of saying Assalamu alaikum to everyone, they come and shake one person's hand, come sit down. Like the other people don't even exist. They're not there, they're invisible. And that's disrespectful. This is something that the Prophet never did. He told us to do the opposite. Shake everyone's hand. Say salam to everyone. Right? Whether you know them or not. This is disrespectful. This is not the etiquette of how a Muslim should act. Next is commerce, meaning business will increase until a woman helps her husband in business. Not only do women help their husbands in business now, the women are the boss ladies now, right? I mean, that's how they dress, how they go to office. She tells a man, I'm the one that makes the money. She's like, you sit down. Now, is it good or bad like this? That's a discussion for another day. But we can agree that this is the truth because this was not common in the time of the Prophet. It was actually the opposite. People will sever their links with their relatives. This is a major sin in Islam. To break your relationship with a family member. This, I think, is very important that people don't even think about. Because people so easily say, I'm going to divorce you. From today, you're not my son. From today, you're not my brother. This is a major, major sin in Islam. This is something that needs tawbah to be made if you do commit this. This is a very big thing. Knowledge will spread, false testimony will appear, and true testimony will be concealed. We already know this. In the courts, it's often, it's very common in today's world, especially in college cases, where girls will go out partying and something happens, and, whatever happens, and they'll say, so-and-so guy sexually abused me, and there's not enough evidence, and the man goes to jail, his life gets ruined, and then years later they find out, oh, he didn't even do anything. This is the reality of this sign of the Day of Judgment, where evidence will not be taken into consideration. The liar will be believed on it, the honest will be disbelieved, and the traitors will be entrusted with things, and trustworthy people will be regarded as traitors. This is something recent. A former imam of Mecca, he got sentenced to 10 years in prison. Why? Because he spoke against the Saudi government. And not even specifically against them. He talked about why is there concerts happening in this country? Why is so-and-so bad things happening? And look what happened to him. He got arrested. He's seen as a traitor even though he's telling the truth. Muslims will be large in number and get attacked. We know this happens already. Allah will remove fear and respect from the hearts of your enemies, and He will fill their hearts with weakness. And the Muslims will have love of this world and hatred of death. Prime example. Where is Israel on the map? So tiny you can barely even see it. It's blue on the map. And they're oppressing Muslims, obviously. We already know this. But look how many Muslim countries are around them. That's like one ant standing next to a circle of lions, for example. This compared to this, yet nothing is happening to save them, to help those Muslims. Now, in this hadith, the companions were asking the prophets, oh, because they're less in number, is that why the Muslims are getting attacked? He said, no, they're more in number. And that's very accurate to what we have today. The woman who would be dressed but appear to be naked, right? Even though they're technically wearing clothes, you can still see their entire body anyway. There's nothing to even guess and imagine about. You can already see it. I mean, look at one example I put up here. What is that? A dress? It looks like a woman was wearing the dress and a bear attacked her. Animal attacked her and ripped her clothes. That's what it looks like. I mean, they call it fashion now. I mean, what's even the point of it? Right? You're showing your whole body anyway. But there's literally no difference between dressing like this and dressing naked as well. And this is not just in the non-Muslim celebrities. This is common amongst Muslims too. Muslim women, even if they think, oh, I'm fully covered, I'm wearing hijab, sometimes they wear such tight clothing where you can see through the clothing anyway. Doesn't even matter. It's like they're naked, even though they're wearing full clothes. Wine will be permitted. This is a very obvious one. Even in Muslim countries, you see alcohol. And it's always the rich people who are buying it and selling it. That's another one. People have taken to the worship of Lat and Uzza. These two were idols that were worshipped before the time of the Prophet. But if we look at, even if it's not specifically these two idols, Muslims are now standing in front of idols now and worshipping them too, right? They'll go up to statues and say, so-and-so things help me, or they'll go to a grave and help me. This is basically talking about the same thing. They're taking partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Kufr, shirk. Imitating the Jews and Christians. This was a long hadith, so I just summed it up in one sentence. I look at the picture. Christmas tree inside the masjid. I said, one poor guy's praying right in front of it too. Again, it's funny, but it's sad. Muslims have Christmas trees inside their own house. They're celebrating Christmas, which is not even technically a Christian holiday. But aside from that, they want to be and copy the Jews and the Christians. Why? To be accepted, to be liked. They said, forget the truth. Let's be friends with them. That's how they see it. They don't want to be seen as somebody that's different. This is a very, very serious one. Very scary one. The hour will come when people will believe in the stars and reject qadr, the divine decree of destiny. Qadr means you believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written your fate, right? And also means Allah is in control of everything, which is, of course, as Muslims we all agree upon. Yet, what they'll do, they go on Facebook, they'll look at their horoscope. I mean, you tell me, do you think that your birthday and your month can decide your future and your life and your personality? I mean, I'm going to sound harsh, but I don't care, honestly, at this point. How much of an idiot are you that you look at the sky like, oh, wow, the stars in this line, I'm going to be happy tomorrow. That's basically what it is, right? How ignorant is that? That you think stuff in the sky determines how you act. And honestly, I've seen people use this as an excuse of their actions. Like they'll have anger problems like, oh, I'm a Leo, I'm a Capricorn. That's why. I'm like, okay, so your birthday decides how you act? How ignorant is that? Okay, now, minor signs that will happen. Okay, now let me quickly say one thing. I discussed many minor signs that are happening already that happened, and I didn't even name all of them. I know I went through so many, but I didn't even name all of them. When I was researching, when I was reading my book, there was probably close to 100 or maybe, okay, more accurate number would be 70 to 80, right? Minor signs that happened or already happened. 70 to 80, imagine that. And now I'm going to talk about minor signs that will happen, that have not happened yet. But if you notice the difference, there's not that many left, which is something to really, wake up. It can be very scary as well. I went through all that is happening already, and that was like a bucket of water, and what's left, what I'm going to show you, is like a few drops of water. Where the land of Arabia reverts to meadows and rivers. At the time of the Prophet, what was Mecca, Medina, desert? Dry, hot. It's going to be grass, gardens, and rivers, and we're already seeing the beginning of it. This was either in a video taken this year or last year, where I believe this was Medina, and they're seeing grass everywhere now. It's already beginning to happen. Inanimate objects like sandal straps, along with animals, will speak to human beings and they will understand it. And I don't mean like a dog barking and you're guessing, oh, are you hungry? Are you sad? No. The animal will speak to the human being, and the human being will understand it. And the human being will talk to the animal, and the animal will understand it as well. How crazy is that? A while ago, I saw an article where technology is already being developed. Like for a dog, for example, you put it on the collar, and when they bark, it gives signals or something, and it helps you to understand what they're saying. Again, that's already beginning to happen. Now, the river of Euphrates will dry up, unveil the mountain of gold for which people will fight. And this is something that's already happening. The river is drying. Look at the before how it was, and look how it is currently right now. And the Prophet said they will find a mountain of gold underneath, and when 99, let's say for example, this is like the ratio, okay? 100 people go and try to get the gold. People are going to fight over it, right? 100 people will go, 99 will die. Probably will kill each other to fighting for the gold. And every man will say, oh, maybe I'll be the lucky one. This is something very dangerous because it shows greed. It shows even when this happens, people will still ignore this hadith and they'll so try and think they're very, very lucky. It shows you arrogance and ignorance again. Okay, this is a long one. Where basically, I'll sum it up, where basically the earth will take out gold and silver, columns, meaning big pillars, for the people. And the people will be able to see it. And basically, people will kill for this. People will break their family ties for this. They will steal for this, and they'll reflect upon it after. But again, this is very similar to the previous hadith, where greed will take over people and they'll turn into animals, savages. A man named Jahja will become king. Not only will this be a Muslim king, but he's a tyrant. He's a bad person. He's not a just ruler. And this is specific. There's more description given about him, but this is all I put here. But this is another sign. Now this is something very, very interesting. Verily, you shall conquer Constantinople. What is Constantinople? The city which was the center of the world 1,000 years ago, which was the center of the Christian kingdom, basically. And what is it now? Istanbul, right? What a wonderful leader will her leader be, and what a wonderful army will that army be. SubhanAllah. I mean, we know this battle took place. Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih, he conquered Constantinople, made it Istanbul, made it for the Muslims. In what year? Was it 1453, something 1400, 1500s? Okay? Now, well and good. Now you're wondering, okay, why is this here? It already happened, right? 500-600 years ago? There's another hadith, which is quite scary. An army of the best soldiers will emerge from Medina to fight the Romans, okay? Okay, so they're Muslims, basically, fighting probably Christians, right? 1/3 of the Muslims will run away and Allah will never forgive them. It's a major sin in Islam to run away from a battle. 1/3 of the Muslims will be martyred. They'll become shaheed and Allah will accept it. They'll go into Jannah. Okay? So that's 66%. What about the other 33%? 1/3 of the Muslims will be victorious conquerors of Constantinople. It's very interesting. Now people will think, we already conquered Constantinople. It's already for Muslims now. So what is this hadith about? Because the people who conquered it, what nationality? They were Turkish, right? They were Turkish. And of course, I'm not 100% accurate, but I can guarantee you these numbers didn't show in that battle. Now, what is this supposed to mean? This is very debated among scholars, very heavily debated. And I'll tell you my personal opinion. I mean, some people say, oh, maybe the Prophet wasn't specifically talking about this land. Okay, fine. My personal opinion, I'm saying my personal opinion, so don't go and tell people this is 100% accurate. My personal opinion is that the land of Istanbul, Constantinople, will not be Muslim anymore. Something will happen in time where Muslims will have to make it Muslim land again. My personal opinion. You can agree with me, disagree with me. And this is my final slide. The Mahdi will appear. the Mahdi is the leader of the Muslims. From the family of the Prophet with his name, meaning his name will also be Muhammad. Just like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that will be his name. And he will become righteous overnight. Meaning he'll be like a normal Muslim like me and you. And overnight Allah will give him a gift and he'll become a leader. He'll have the qualities of a leader. And he will fill the earth with justice for 7 years. From this we understand that he will come in a time of the world where crime and injustice is everywhere in the whole world. I mean, which is kind of today, right? And he will come and he will spread justice for 7 years. Now, I've seen so many videos on YouTube where they put the picture, Imam Mahdi coming, 2025, 2030. Isa alayhi salam coming 2050, right? Again, I'll give you a warning, this is not accurate at all. Only Allah knows when this will happen. Number two, they're just trying to get your attention, so you click on it, and they get more views, more likes, and they get money. It's all about money. And there's many, many hadith about Imam Mahdi, but not all of them are Hasan or Sahih. That's one thing to remember. A lot of them are weak hadith, so I didn't mention them here. But there's a lot more detail given about him. And inshallah, this will be a time of peace. He'll bring peace into the world. And I'll mention one more thing. Some people say Imam Mahdi is a major sign. Some people say he's a minor sign. I mean, the thing is, regardless, this is a big thing, right? The whole world will be in such a bad position, and he will come and spread justice in the world. Now people say, oh, I wish I was alive at the time of Imam Mahdi. I'm like, yeah, but then again, you have to be alive in the time where the world is terrible. So I mean, that's another thing to think about. And inshallah, this is my last slide, this is my conclusion. And I will leave you with one word of advice. That everything I've showed you so far, I even gave you the reference at the bottom. If you want to go find the hadith, almost all of them were sahih, some of them were hasan, which is acceptable in Islam. And this is something to show the non-Muslims, to give da'wah. Because so many of these, I mean, you guys already look at it like, yeah, that's right. You don't have to be necessarily Muslim to understand that these things are true and it happened already, or it's happening. So this is something to show non-Muslims as well. Because how can they deny it too, right? Because from their perspective, for example, let's talk about the hadith of the big buildings, competing in the tall buildings. How can a man, okay, so they obviously don't believe he's a prophet, okay, the non-Muslims. How can a man who doesn't know how to read or write, who's not that rich also, he's just known for good character, who lives in the middle of a desert, who comes from a place and a people that other people look down upon, how can such a man know these things? I say, oh, it's a lucky guess. Okay, fine, lucky guess, one. Lucky guess, okay? How many lucky guesses can you have, right? And I mean, there's more than what I have today. How many lucky guesses? If you use your brain, your rationale, you understand something is special about this man. He is getting his information from somewhere that other people cannot reach. And that's something for Muslims to realize as well. This should strengthen your faith in Islam. And that brings me to my conclusion. Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.